We've got some kind of lukewarm, kind of promising news out of Amazon having an alleged settlement with the EU around, guess what, how it takes advantage of third-party sellers. Let's check it out. So we got some big news out of Europe with Amazon. Amazon agrees to basically have this EU settlement, change some of its business practices. This is really it's focused around the right thing. It's focused around the right premise that platform businesses have two customers. They have a consumer and they have a producer. And when platform businesses achieve monopolistic scale, wrote a book about this, who do they take advantage of? It's actually not the consumer. It's actually the producer. So for Amazon, that's a third-party seller. For Google and Facebook, those are advertisers and content creators on YouTube, or on Apple, those are app developers, right? Which we've seen Spotify and Fortnite and a bunch of now Twitter. App developers get very grumpy at Apple and now kind of forcing Apple to actually allow other app stores, which is also a monumental development there. But yeah, you don't see the consumer, because the service and the product is free, or it's heavily subsidized for the consumer, right? Amazon gives you free shipping. How could they ever make the argument that the consumer is truly disadvantaged when Amazon is a monopoly? No. Well, who gets taken advantage of are the small businesses and the third-party sellers. Talked about this for years on this show. That's actually the crux of what this EU settlement is looking at. Regulators believe will help independent merchants selling on Amazon just in Europe. The deal will require Amazon to give makers of rival products equal access to valuable real estate on its website. Basically, Amazon created its own first-party product line called Amazon Basics, right? So Amazon created its own products to compete directly with its third-party sellers. It's kind of an issue, big conflict there. And then now in the past couple of years, they've gone berserk with advertising, right? So now, not only do they favor their own products over third-party products, now if your third-party product wants to even show up in the top of the search results, you need to pay for ads. So now they've it's just like going on Google search, right? You go on Google, you want to find a non-advertised post for an organic search result. You got to scroll 1 or 2 times down the screen to actually find anything just organic. It's the advertising. They cram everyone down. So if you now have a website on Google, you want to stay relevant. Now you're being forced by Google, the platform, to pay a toll, to pay for advertising if you still want your product to appear at the top of the result. Even though you have the best domain ranking and you have the most links to your website and you've played the search game, right? Same thing on Amazon. Even if you have a great product, Amazon's product, I guarantee you, is worse, and they knocked off your product, but now they're going to force you to pay ads if you still want your product to show up in the top of the results, right? It's ridiculous. So now they're saying, okay, we will give equal access, whatever that means. I'm sure Amazon will try and take advantage of the definition of equal access. And Amazon is going to be barred from using non-public information it gathers about independent merchants to inform its own product offerings. Basically, my characterization of the settlement is Amazon one-upped the EU. The EU should not have done this deal. They should have continued to prosecute Amazon. They were going after Amazon for up to 10% of their global revenue, which would have been many tens of billions of dollars in fines. Amazon isn't paying any fines. No fines. No fines. And the second thing they're capitulating to, they were already saying they weren't doing, right? They've already been saying for years, well, we don't take the information from our third-party sellers and then use that to inform Amazon Basics. Like, that's nothing new. That's what they've been saying they don't do for years, but they obviously have been doing it. The first thing is somewhat of a concession, but we don't really know how this is going to be implemented or how they're going to give equal access. Are they going to still require people to pay ads to get access? Probably, right? But now it's kind of like what Google did when the EU forced them to not make on Android Google the default search engine. Then they let the rival search engines bid for advertising to pick who's going to be your default search engine. And then Google still came out on top. Right. So I think the EU is wrong for taking this deal. I think they should have kept going. Amazon, I think, comes out ahead on this. They're really not giving anything up of substance. And then this rule is only in place for 5 years. So by the time the thing is actually starting to work in 3 years, then they're going to have to start renegotiating it 2 years in advance of the thing actually starting to, it's not a good deal. Now, we are seeing a more positive note. We are seeing some progress in this case. There's a ruling against Amazon about the sale of counterfeit goods. So Louboutin, right? The red bottom shoes has sued Amazon because they say they should be doing more and should be taking responsibility for selling counterfeit Louboutin shoes on Amazon's marketplace. And now it looks like the top court in the EU is agreeing with Louboutin and, is going to bring a lot more scrutiny and responsibility to Amazon to properly police counterfeits on its site. It's something that really Amazon had only done. Amazon did the deal with Nike. They said, hey, we'll take down all third-party listings of Nike shoes. Boom. Like that. All third-party listings of Nike shoes, gone. But then when Nike walked away from doing a direct deal with Amazon, then magically all these third-party listings came back, right? And obviously a bunch of those things counterfeit. So the platform has the ability to police these things when they want to, when they get the brand, when they get the supplier to play ball the way Amazon, the monopoly, wants the brand, the supplier, to play ball. But when they don't play ball, then Amazon says, well, that's not my responsibility. Section 230. That's not my problem. That's your problem, Louboutin. You need to send me, Louboutin, a notice if you see a counterfeit listing that you want me to take down. And I will then try to take it down within, 5 business days. That's the kind of BS that Louboutin's having to deal with here. So that's progress, small progress, but progress. Here's another thing. So, you got this TechCrunch article here from a couple months ago. Amazon to delist top seller Applico on India marketplace amid regulatory heat. So you say, delist top seller. What does that mean? But really, the headline should read, Amazon to delist its own seller, Applico, right? The deal and what Amazon was doing in India to get around these rules where they couldn't be both a 1P and a 3P seller. They couldn't have third-party sellers and they couldn't have 1P sellers, which is their own inventory, on a foreign-owned marketplace in India. Great law, by the way, for India. Very smart law by India to help provide a more competitive environment for their locally homegrown marketplaces against the international tech monopoly competitors, being primarily Amazon and Walmart. So Amazon basically then went to these third-party sellers, took stakes in those third-party sellers, and then gave those third-party sellers like the exclusive ability to sell Amazon's 1P products. So Amazon said, yeah, we don't have any 1P products on the store, but we have a network of like 50 third-party sellers that we just happen to own material equity stakes in that just happen to sell Amazon Basics products. And those listings just happen to get the top ranking listing on our site every single time. But it's not 1P India regulators, right? Like, shenanigans. And Reuters published a bombshell report on this, which we covered at length. And so now you're seeing this again slowly work its way, where now Amazon is saying, okay, we have to take down Applico, which is basically just them taking down 1P products. That's what the headline should be. Amazon starts to take down its 1P products amid regulatory heat. And they're not delisting a top seller. They're just taking down their 1P products to comply with the law that was put in place a long time ago. It's crazy. I mean, I have a tough time keeping up with this stuff. And that same fight, by the way, we're very close in the US to having similar legislation, right, to help protect the role of third-party sellers on Amazon. We were trying to get it out for a vote prior to the midterms. It didn't happen. Amazon lobbied, spent over $100 million and other big tech to lobby to get all these nonprofits that, should really be ashamed of themselves, frankly, to toe the party line that, no, we need to focus on the midterms. We can't bring something like this to a vote. The NAW, the National Association of Wholesale Distributors, has done a great job really pushing to get that legislation front and center. It's actually co-sponsored by both Democrat and Republican senators and congressmen and women. So they actually had a bipartisan coalition, still do, but obviously they have to wait for now the new Congress to take hold. And then you got to go through we got to get the momentum back and the whole rigmarole. Don't envy them. But they've done a great job to really help steward and push these bills that should hopefully now come to a vote in the US House and Senate whenever the new Congress is installed. But a lot of those bills, or a number of those bills, focus on the same thing, which you now see Amazon capitulating to in Europe, but too loosely, in my opinion, the deal they have with the EU. But the same concept, Amazon taking advantage of third-party sellers, right? See it in India, see it in Europe. It's the same theme. If you like this video, go check out our other videos where we go deep into what happened with that Reuters report in India. And we talk at length about EU's Miss Vestager, the head of the EU kind of regulatory authority over there, and what her thinking is on how to regulate big tech. Go check out those videos.